First, we'll introduce the non-starters for the Fort Myers Lady Green Wave. Number 4, Layla Roker. Number 5, Michelle Echeverria. Number 10, Elena Johnston. Number 11, Giovanna Santos. Number 21, Samara Spencer. Number 23, Riley Ludlow. And number 24, Alexis Johnson. The non-starters for the Choctawhatchee Lady Indians are number 1, Michaela Brown. Number 11, Tiara Swain. Number 21, Keosha Warren. Number 23, Isabella Tarrant. And number 24, Mercedes Hart. Starting for the 13 and 5 Lady Green Wave, at guard, 5'9", senior number 0, one of the captains, Bethany Brunson. At guard, 5'6", freshman number 2, Janae Elton.
It is the final day of the girls' high school basketball season in the state of Florida. 3 more champions to be crowned here at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland. We get things started with the 7A championship game between the Fort Myers Green Wave and the Choctawhatchee Indians. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Lakeland. Austin Lyon, Hendrick Frazier, glad you've joined us for the 7A championship game. Hendrick, the storyline coming into this one, Fort Myers trying to win a 3rd consecutive state title.
You know, things like that really happen when you have the ability to have a young lady like Destanni Henderson on your team. One of the top players in the country, the University of South Carolina signee, no stranger here to Lakeland.
And a McDonald's All-American selection, only girl from the state of Florida to earn that honor. She's joined in the starting lineup by fellow senior Bethany Brunson, 2 outstanding freshmen, Janae Outen and Shania Clark, 6'4". She already has offers from Florida and Florida State. Chad Terrell, in his 3rd season at the helm of this program, coached freshman basketball for 8 years before the girls' job opened. Not surprisingly, he was intrigued by the amount of talent within this program and has guided them to the state tournament now for the 3rd consecutive year. Choctawhatchee is 21-3 on the season. Amber Leggett, 6' senior forward, headed to Sam Houston State next season, averaging nearly 15 points and 8 rebounds per game. She had a double-double against Father Lopez in the state semifinals. Starting lineup for the Indians includes Miranda Brown and Atalia Brown. Those 2 are cousins. Alexis Becker, a freshman, gets the start because of an injury to Tiara Swain. And Cassandra Fairley, who is an outstanding volleyball player, won a state championship with Choctaw in the fall, is the 5th starter. Don Brown, now in his 11th year, 7 years in professional baseball. He was with the Reds, Mets, and Orioles organizations, got as high as AAA, but never made the majors. Native of Vernon, Florida, with his 250th win here in the semifinals.
Coach Brown has to be pleased with this year's ball club making it back to Lakeland after a year's hiatus.
Only had 1 state tournament appearance prior to 2013. His program has made it here to the RP Funding Center 4 times in the last 6 years. And 2 programs that have had a lot of recent success. The Green Wave trying to become a 3-time state champion, a 3-peat. And what a way it would end the career of Destanni Henderson, the outstanding senior guard. A final message for freshman Shania Clark as we are moments away from tip-off in this 7A championship game.
I wonder if that could be a little bit of a passing of the baton, Austin.
Well, for as decorated a career as Henderson has had, think about the fact that there might not be much of a drop-off with the Green Wave with the presence of Clark and Janae Outen. It'll be Clark and Fairley set to jump it up. And the Opening tip goes to Fort Myers. Very similar color schemes for these teams, both green and white. The Green Wave are in the road green jerseys.
Choctaw packing it in a 1-3-1 zone to begin the contest, forcing the turnover.
Errant pass from Tatum Hayes will give Choctaw their first offensive possession. Indians got past Father Lopez 47-39 in the state semifinals, and a foul on the drive by Leggett.
It's going to be very important, I think, for Choctaw this afternoon to take care of the basketball. They want to make sure they limit their turnovers. This is a Green Wave ball club. You do not want to get out early in transition.
Now, two teams that want to play at very different styles. Fort Myers wants to get up and down. They want to press. Choctaw wants to keep this as a half-court game. Outen, the freshman, forced the turnover. 3-on-1 break. Brunson. Heave up the floor. Henderson taps it up in the air and regains possession for Fort Myers.
Two early turnovers for Choctaw.
Leggett got a piece of that shot. There's the freshman Clark inside, unable to bank that one home. Freshman Alexis Becker unable to do anything against Henderson. Hayes in transition, some contact there, but no whistle, and a ragged beginning for both teams.
Then we talk about this quick turnaround, a different format this year, Austin, where every team, is playing on back-to-back nights if they're fortunate enough to win.
Talia Brown off the front rim. Becker mixing it up inside. Henderson comes out of there with it. Outen off the break. And we've got the first bucket of the game.
Senior, the freshman, on the connection on that possession. Green Wave are doing an excellent job of keeping the basketball out of Talia Brown's hands, forcing someone else to beat him from the outside.
And it's Alexis Becker that drills the corner three. She hit 4 triples in the semifinal. And an immediate answer at the other end from Tatum Hayes.
Tray ball corner pocket.
Hayes is an emotional player. That emotion drives this team. You say that was last touched by Becker, out of bounds to Fort Myers.
How do you like that for a challenge if you're a freshman playing on such a big stage? Open up the contest being guarded by Destanni Henderson.
Hayes left open again. Well off that time, but Shania Clark was well positioned on the backside for the putback.
Not very often you have a ball club that has such an advantage on the outside and inside with this combination of Clark and Henderson.
Fort Myers 13-15 on the year. Now that record has 14 forfeits associated with it. We'll get into the details of that as the game goes along. It's a program that's only lost 4 times on the court this season, and 2 of those came against out-of-state teams. 2 in-state losses. A 1-point loss to Miami Country Day, which won its 5th consecutive state title earlier this week, and Winter Haven, which will play in the 8A final coming up at 4:30. Becker lines up another 3.
Aggressive rebound by Clark. Even though Choctaw has not had an opportunity to score a lot of points, they have to be happy with the pace of this contest.
Not happy to see Clark get touches right underneath the rim. The 6'4" freshman scoring easily inside. She's got a couple of buckets, and Fort Myers is out to a 9-3 lead.
Well, even though a 1-3-1 zone is very good at slowing down the offensive pace of teams, the one weakness it does provide is rebounding. You have to make sure you locate bodies, and if there's anybody you have to find on the entire gym this afternoon, it definitely has to be Miss Clark.
A look at how each of these teams advanced to this afternoon's championship game. Choctaw with a 5-point win over Nice, And then an 8-point victory against Father Lopez here yesterday. Fort Myers has had an easy time so far through the state tournament. They beat Dillard 64-51 yesterday. Shot 63% in the second half of that game. That says a lot considering the quality of athlete and defense that the Dillard program is known for. First shot attempt for Amber Leggett off the heel. And Clark able to seal off Cassandra Fairley in a foul on the rebounding action against the Indians.
Choctaw having 2 cracks at it on that possession. 2 good looks, unable to get the ball to fall.
Now, Choctaw plays at a slower pace, but they also execute well on the defensive end of the floor. During the playoffs, allowing just 43 points per game.
Fort Myers Ball Club just patient in their ball reversal, looking for gaps to attack off the dribble.
Good rebound by Leggett, but then she threw it away. Errant pass in the direction of Becker.
Five turnovers so far for Choctaw.
That's a number that has to be low if they're going to have a chance in this game. These two teams met 2 years ago in the state semifinals. Fort Myers won that game by 11, 62-51, but a much different Choctaw roster. You had Nadia Fingal, who is now playing at Stanford on the Indians roster. There's an aggressive drive by Atalia Brown.
Doing a very good job of using the screen at the top of the key. Little runner.
Choctaw hanging in there early, trailing by 4.
How often do you have one of the best players in the country on the floor and you're more than halfway through the first quarter, she hasn't even attempted a shot? Just her patience.
Is one of the things Chad Terrell talked about yesterday. She is the ultimate team player. And he was talking about how rare it is for high school athletes at her level in this day and age to think they're not owed something. She comes into the gym and feels like she has to work just as hard as everyone else to be a starter, to earn the chance to have the ball in her hands.
You know, a lot of people like to wear the elite tag, and she is surely an elite athlete. And it is the difference, you know, between these players that have an opportunity to not only star in college but play at the professional level.
Henderson, the top-ranked point guard in the nation, the number 9 overall recruit in this year's class. Tatum Hayes from the other baseline. That's a 2-point jumper. She's got 5.
The 5'7" junior showing you her ability to knock down the mid-range jump shot. She's already knocked down a couple from long range. Just great ball movement here by the Green Wave, and Tatum with the smooth stroke.
Hayes a steady increase with her scoring as Leggett able to pick up the loose ball and bank it in. Hayes in traffic, turned it over.
First really forced possession of Fort Myers in the contest. Choctaw starting to calm down offensively.
Brown with the runner from just inside the 3-point line. Leggett saves it for Hayes. Ball loose and bouncing down the floor. It's picked up by Samara Spencer. Streaking in is Brunson, and she's fouled.
Not your textbook fast break, but an opportunity for Fort Myers to get to the line, and just excellent hustle, never giving up on the play. See if the senior can score 2 the easy way.
The first foul on Fairley. Seems like every game we do here provides something new that I haven't seen before. I can't say at the girls' state tournament I've ever seen a runner with someone towing the 3-point line unless it's at the end of a quarter.
You always have opportunities, Austin, to work on your game. And so this is something now that you can add to your repertoire next time you play pickup during the week.
When I have some time this weekend, I'm going to be in the gym working on it. Brown a little out of control with that drive, threw it away.
Another turnover. You know, Choctaw really has to cherish every possession, slow the contest down.
Final 90 seconds of the first quarter. 7 points for Choctaw, 7 turnovers. Henderson tried to split a double team, and here comes Atalia Brown. Nice catch in traffic by Miranda Brown. She is tied up by Outen, and the arrow will keep it with Choctaw. Atalia Brown being watched closely by Outen. Big assignment for the freshman from Fort Myers, and so far she's done a tremendous job.
She's doing everything she possibly can to stay into the pocket of Brown, not giving her much room to breathe.
Riley Ludlam checks in for the first time. Catcher on Fort Myers State Championship softball team last year. Hit .414 through her first 2 years on varsity. Tatum doesn't need much space to get that shot up. Long rebound out to Outen.
Very good move by the freshman, get into a middle game.
Brown gets around Outen. Jumper short from Leggett.
See if Choctaw pull it out and hold the basketball for one shot. High 1-4 set.
Miranda Brown took the handoff. Good looking three that was a little bit long. And Clark pulls it away in traffic. Final 10 seconds. And Clark swats that out of bounds. And the officials will say that Choctawhatchee was the last team to touch it.
Coach Brown trying to fire his troops up, see if they can get one defensive stop before the end of the quarter.
Outen's got it with the clock down to 5. Picked up the dribble and then decided to try to put it back down again. So a double dribble with 2.9 to go. Atalia Brown catches the inbounds pass. That heave well short. We are through one here in the 7A championship game. Fort Myers seeking a three-peat and off to a pretty good start, leading 15-7.
At this time, the FHSAA asks that all educators in attendance stand up so today's crowd can publicly recognize and thank you for your dedication, commitment, and passion. The valuable lessons you instill in our student athletes help them to succeed not only athletically but academically. Thank you, teachers, for everything you do. Discover who you want to be at Southeastern University. For enrollment information in Southeastern Choir Athletics, visit www.scu.edu. If you're posting pictures from today's event on your social media accounts, tag the FHSAA.
Back at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland, Fort Myers trying to make Lee County history by becoming just the third program across all sports to win 3 consecutive state championships. Dunbar is the only other Lee County team to win a title. Think about Barron Collier starting the success for Southwest Florida basketball in the early 2000s. They came up here to Lakeland and had some great battles with Winter Haven in what was then the 5A classification when there were only 6 in the state. And Dunbar and Fort Myers have taken it to another level with their success the last several years.
A lot of talent has been produced out of Lee County.
Leggett faked the handoff. Nice little runner.
6-foot senior making the jump shot over the outstretched hands of Clark.
Leggett trying to match the athletic success of her older brother Jordan, who won a national championship as a tight end at Clemson, now in the NFL with the New York Jets. And Leggett with back-to-back buckets brings Choctaw to within 4.
Leggett showing you her Jets on that fast break.
Repost in there to Clark, bowls her way inside. Leggett and Fairley were both there for either player. It's going to be their second foul.
Thought that was a good job, honestly, by Leggett, not really giving up position. Wasn't completely vertical on the shot.
End up getting Fairley on the foul. It is her second. Clark misses both. So a chance for Choctaw to get a little bit closer. A lot of dribbling by Atalia Brown. Relentless ball pressure from Fort Myers. A tie-up will keep it at this end of the floor.
Be very careful with your ball handling along the sidelines with this Green Waves defense. Do a good job of moving their feet.
And the Lady Indians take a timeout.
Don Brown asks for a timeout. Well, check off the first goal for Choctawhatchee, able to stay close with Fort Myers in the early going. That was certainly a concern. Could they withstand the early push that Fort Myers would provide?
I think a lot of that has been, their ability really to slow the Green Wave down, especially with their 1-3-1 and 2-3 defense packing it in.
Choctaw, prior to 2013, only one appearance in the state tournament. With Don Brown guiding the success of this program, they have now come here 4 times in the last 6 years. And state runner-up in 2013 and 2014. A couple of outstanding players have come through this program. Don Brown's daughter, Brittany, who played at Florida State. She is now a professional overseas. And then I referenced earlier Nadia Fingal, who was on that team that made it here in 2016 and lost to Fort Myers in the semifinals.
Something said, we watch it a lot, especially on the girls' side of basketball. But once a program is built and established with a quality coaching staff, they find a way to get these young ladies to gravitate to them once they come on campus. It's a program I expect to see for years to come.
And Leggett, the latest player who's leading this program, a hand check foul out high. She's in her second year at Choctawhatchee, transferred from Navarre after her sophomore season. Wanted to be part of an elite program where she knew she was going to get quality competition and quality coaching.
I think young players that want to get better, they want to be coached and they want to be pushed.
Talia Brown, fortunate to keep possession. A runner from Miranda Brown, no good. Henderson, first shot attempt is a 3, and she buries it.
Great recognition as well to understand where the zone was. She went to the strong side where Cheyenne Clark was. Noted you cannot help out off of Cheyenne Clark from the wing.
Recorded her 400th steal earlier in the game, approaching 1,700 career points. A phenomenal career for Destanni Henderson.
She is surely going to be a pleasure to watch under the tutelage of Coach Dawn Staley.
Great find inside. Clark able to seal her man off and maintain position.
And Destanni Henderson showing you her skill set. Able to drive the basketball hard left. Making a pinpoint pass.
Leggett at the free throw line. Tough angle, and Clark pulls it down. Henderson with a spin dribble. Hayes has already shown her shooting ability, not this time. Freshman Becker picks up the dribble, not on the same page with Fairley. Wanted her to slip to the rim.
Good job of staying help side by Brunson.
Henderson at the other end gives it away. Each team making a couple of changes. Spencer and Alexis Johnson in for Fort Myers. Choctawhatchee comes with Michaela Brown and Mercedes Hart. All three of the Browns are related for Choctawhatchee. Michaela, the younger sister of Miranda, and Atalia is their cousin. Michaela Brown in and immediately making an impact.
Freshman right there, no nerves here. It's a normal day at the park.
Really liked what Don Brown had to say about Michaela Brown yesterday. She said it's such a big transition going from middle school basketball to high school basketball, because in middle school, you turn it over, it's at a frenetic pace. No one cares about the value of a possession. But Don Brown, when you come into his program, players have to understand that each and every trip down the floor is meaningful.
Absolutely.
Henderson with an awkward little loop-de-loop pass. He's turned it over a couple times in the last three possessions. Leggett sensing an advantage. Nice first step and a chance for three.
Leggett does such a good job of driving towards her strong hand and then using her length to create space to make shots. There you see her just going through the body of Alexis Johnson, not shying away from contact. Opportunity here for a three-point play.
Averages just less than 15 points and 8 boards a game. Michaela Brown with the offensive board. Was 5'4", but mixing it up on the interior to get another possession for Choctaw.
Really a good look by Michaela Brown, just a bad passing angle.
Henderson off the floor right now for Fort Myers. Hayes skip pass to Samara Spencer. And she traveled.
Checking in the game for Lady Indians, number 10, Cassandra Fairley.
Both teams here, a little bit of careless play with the basketball.
19 turnovers combined, 11 for Choctawhatchee, 8 for Fort Myers. Good defense by Hayes. Some contact there as Michaela Brown went to the ground, but it'll be out of bounds to Fort Myers.
Hayes there being physical on the perimeter.
This is the first of 3 championship games on this Saturday. Coming up later this afternoon, we'll have the 8A final between Winter Haven and Nova, and then the 9A championship game featuring Spruce Creek and Miami High. Second three for Tatum Hayes. She leads her team in scoring with 8.
Hayes has the green light as long as she's open from 19-9, and she showed you her ability to knock it down.
52 threes coming into the game for Hayes. Michaela Brown will line one up. Tapped up by Leggett. She ends up with the ball right underneath the rim. An easy lay-in.
Brunson has to make a smarter play than that as a senior. You can never save the basketball. under opposing team's basket. Leg it. Another 2.
Spencer sets up Hayes. She's got the hot hand. 11 first half points for Tatum Hayes.
Every time she releases the basketball, Austin, it looks like it's going in.
Brown aggressively taking that right into the chest of Mercedes Hart. Freshman against freshman. I beg your pardon, it was Alexis Johnson, not Mercedes Hart. So 2 fouls on Johnson.
Point to line number 1, Michaela Brown. Checking the game, the Lady Green Wave, number 3.
Henderson back on the floor for Fort Myers. Love the spark that Michaela Brown has provided here in the first half.
She really is. She's come in, Austin, and shows no fear as a freshman. Got to see why Coach Don Brown has decided about her on the basketball team.
She will take a seat. Older sister Miranda back in.
Miranda Brown. Also checking in number 24, Mercedes Hart.
There is the aforementioned Mercedes Hart. Don Brown going to play a little offense-defense with Fairley because of the 2 fouls.
Very small lineup in right now for Fort Myers.
No Clark, no Johnson out there, which means Henderson is thrust inside. Outlet pass stolen away. Samara Spencer, the freshman, with the lay-in. And then the steal. Fort Myers can get going in a hurry. Henderson, 3 rolls around and out.
Very quick ball club laterally on the floor for the Green Wave.
Brown, how about that rainmaker?
Such a quick release.
Leggett blocked the shot from behind. Nice reaction after she got beat by Spencer.
Great job of not giving up on the play.
Lots of changes made here in the final minute. Fairley back in playing with 2 fouls as Clark returns for Fort Myers. Clark with the catch, and Leggett went up to block the shot. Brown, step back 3, that one well short. Clark with the rebound and the outlet pass to Henderson. Hayes inside, that's going to be a foul. Choctaw hoping it's not on Fairley. They do get Fairley, her 3rd.
Only the 4th foul, and Coach Brown didn't even have time to take her out of the game, and hopefully that's not her 4th.
Shania Clark on the inbounds pass. I think they got Brown with that foul instead of Fairley. Tough sequence there for Choctawhatchee. Loose ball inside, Fairley picks up the foul, and Clark with the 3-point play. Final 28 seconds, 2-on-1. Michaela Brown drops it off for the freshman Becker, and she will go to the line.
Really good recognition on that possession by Choctaw. Fort Myers setting up in a full court press, an opportunity for a 2-on-1 versus Clark.
Going to line number 4, Alexis Becker.
There was concern about how Choctaw would handle the full court pressure of Fort Myers. They've done a good job against that. It's been in the half court where they've given it away.
Really haven't. And honestly, Fort Myers hasn't asserted a lot of full court pressure. A lot of it's been kind of token pressure, a little man-to-man, trying to keep the basketball out of Atalia Brown's hands. But the turnovers so far in this contest is the difference in the game.
1 of 2 for Becker. 10-point game, final 12 seconds. Nice entry pass from Hayes. Michaela Brown took a swipe at it. And I believe they got the freshman for a foul.
Defensively, you can't draw up that play any better. You had someone on the front. And I thought Michaela Brown did a great job of rotating over from the weak side. But once Cheyenne Clark catches the basketball in the low post, it's going to be difficult to stop her.
6'4" freshman has a nice touch. 64% at the line. And Chad Terrell told us yesterday, everyone is amazed by how athletic she is. Great feet, soft hands, and the ability to get up and down the floor. A lot better than people give her credit for. Closing seconds, Atalia Brown off the front rim with the three, and the first half comes to a close. Fort Myers led by 8 after 1. Choctaw got within 4, but a late push from the Green Wave have them in front by 11. 32-21. We will step aside for the halftime break and return for the start of third quarter action.
It's a good time to visit the Team IP merchandising booth inside the arena to purchase your official FHSAA State Basketball Championship souvenirs. Team IP, the official merchandise company of the FHSAA. Florida Dairy Farmers is a proud supporter of student athletes and their families. Farmers know it takes hard work and long hours to excel in the classroom and on the court. Visit FloridaMilk.com to see how dairy farmers across the Sunshine State work hard every day to provide fresh, wholesome milk. Thank you to the following Championship Committee Noble supporters: Lakeland Hotel Motel Association, O'Toole Law, Publix Chinese Chicken, Outback Steakhouse, Olive Garden, Chick-fil-A, Fred's Market Restaurant, Jimbo's Barbecue, Country Chicken and Fish, BD's Mongolian Grill, Domino's Pizza, Grillsmith, and Bluebell Creamery. The FHSAA is on Facebook and Twitter. Go to facebook.com/FHSAA and become a fan, or go to Twitter handle FHSAA. On these sites, you can keep up with the teams and people who strive to make high school athletics in the state of Florida the best. That's facebook.com/FHSAA and at FHSAA on Twitter. Be a fan of it all.
back at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland. Halftime of the 7A Girls Basketball Championship game with Fort Myers leading Choctawhatchee by the score of 32-21. A look at the first half stats. Fort Myers hits 4 3-pointers, a couple for junior Tatum Hayes. 13 turnovers for Choctaw. What were your impressions from the first half, Andrew?
Really has been a pretty evenly played matchup as you look at it from the standpoint of what the coaches wanted to try to accomplish. I think the Green Wave really want to get through the first half without committing a lot of fouls. I think you'll see a lot more pressure as they begin the second half. And Choctaw with the half-court defense has really forced the Green Wave to take some outshot shots. They've made a few, but they have to find a way to limit the turnovers.
Fort Myers trying to finish a three-peat, win their 3rd consecutive state championship. Choctaw twice has been a state runner-up, trying to take gold medals back to the Panhandle and win the school's first ever state title. Tatum Hayes leads all scorers in the game. 5'7" junior for Fort Myers has 11, 3 of 7 from three-point range. Fairly quiet game so far for Destanni Henderson. She's taken only 2 shots, knocked down a 3. McDonald's All-American, who will play next year for Dawn Staley at South Carolina. Henderson's got the ball in her hands as we start the final 16 minutes.
A little different look offensively for the Green Wave. Starting Clark in the high post.
Brunson needs somewhere to go with it. Henderson presents herself in the post and starts the second half with a bucket.
And here's the pressure.
Choctawhatchee breaks through it. Becker feeling it from three-point range. Henderson has it. Nice pass up ahead. Outen, the freshman, gets the friendly bounce.
Such touch on that pass, threading the needle through 3 defenders.
Leggett sweeping left-handed shot, no good. Henderson's got it again. Leaking out, layup missed, rebound Outen. She missed the putback. Choctaw still not getting back defensively. 3 point-blank looks, and Fort Myers opens the half with a 6-0 run.
Got to be careful in this possession if you're Choctaw.
Becker hit as Outen was racing in to try to challenge that shot.
It's a good job of spotting up and getting the feet set, and trying to disrupt the shot was Outen.
Three free throws for Becker. Choctaw just 2 of 5 as a team from the line in the first half. Don Brown going to his bench a lot earlier. He will bring on Mercedes Hart and Michaela Brown. Fairley sits. She picked up her 3rd foul very late in the first half. I figure she has to be cautious here, especially in the early going. Hayes unchallenged, no one protecting the basket for Choctaw, and it's an easy deuce for Hayes.
It's a poor job by the Indians getting back in transition defense.
Leggett had it poked away by Outen, and another Choctaw turnover.
I think that call may be getting reversed. I think the ball may have bounced off of either Cheyenne Clark's stomach or her foot.
Good job of communication from our officiating crew. This crew from the East Coast Basketball Officials Association, Bernard Arnett, Danny Barkin, and John Allen. Leggett, a couple of spins inside, and she works her way to the line.
Nice up and under move. by Leggett.
Leggett signed to play at Sam Houston State. Good vert, savvy around the basket. What are your impressions of her game so far?
Well, I like her ability, again, just to use her body to get shots off. She's a lot longer than she looks, even though she's listed at 6 foot. That wingspan looks every bit of 6'3", 6'4". Not afraid to mix it up.
12 points so far for Leggett, also 7 boards. She had a well-rounded game in the semifinals. 13 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 steals in that win against Father Lopez.
See man-to-man for the first time for Choctaw.
Henderson loses it, stolen away by Atalia Brown. Leggett was off balance when she caught it. Fort Myers with the steal and the lay-in for Henderson.
One thing when you turn the basketball over against this Green Wave Ball Club, it often leads to easy buckets.
Brown works around a double team. That'll be a hell ball. Alton got her hands in there. Freshman will get a break, replaced by another 9th grader, Samara Spencer. "17-point lead for Fort Myers. It was an 11-point margin at the half. Leggett off the back rim, last touched by Leggett, out of bounds to Fort Myers.
Third quarter's open up with a little different pace than what we're used to seeing in the first half.
Shania Clark, just a freshman, but you would not know it based on the way she commands the area on both blocks.
She really does do a great job of getting to the right position. She leaves herself angles to get to the rim. A lot of time with young players, especially young post players, you'll see them get in areas where they get caught in no man's land. She posts up above the block, gives herself an opportunity to go either shoulder to score.
Mentioned this in the first half, but Fort Myers is 13-15 on the year. They were 11-3 when the FHSAA ruled that they had to forfeit the first 14 games of the season for using an ineligible player, a player who was receiving impermissible benefits. That player was Shania Clark. She was living with the Alton family. FHSAA denied an appeal by Fort Myers by a 4-2 vote, however, ruled that she would be eligible as soon as she found a different residence that was not with a member of the Fort Myers girls basketball program. She was able to do that, and as a result quickly became eligible and has been a force for this team in the second half of the year.
The ability to play through distractions, I think, is what characterizes a lot of great ball clubs. This is a team that has absolutely not missed a beat.
One thing that Chad Terrell talked about yesterday, said all of that going on really galvanized the team, and you see that. Kids want to stay together when things get tough.
Right. I mean, and that's really what athletics should be about, especially at the high school level.
Hayes, nice find underneath. Brunson was patient with the move, and she's rewarded with 2 free throws.
And now you're just seeing this Fort Myers basketball team taking their time, rotating the basketball, finding the open man for the easy buckets.
Got Leggett for that foul. It is her third. So 3 on Leggett, 3 on Fairley. We're down 16. No way you can take Leggett off the floor.
Good job by Brown handling the pressure.
Off the ball defense, Brunson helping. He could not squeeze that. Leggett had it in her hands. It bounces out of bounds.
This young lady plays so hard.
Henderson gets a touch in the post.
What a pass.
Great vision to find Riley Ludlam, who flips it in. 6 assists for Destanni Henderson.
Often you just post up your point guard and allow her to make plays.
Spencer, 3-on-1. Ludlam has it again. Becker reaching in and committing the foul.
Checking into the game for the Lady Indians, number 1, Michaela Brown for Lady Green Wave. Number 33, Shania Clark.
Spencer with Henderson flashing to the free throw line. Leggett comes out of there with it for Choctaw. Miranda Brown, that's a long 2.
Good job being down and ready by the 5'6" junior.
First basket for Miranda Brown. Nothing Fairley could do. She actually had her back to Shania Clark as Clark went up over the left shoulder.
Not wanting to pick up her 4th foul and another turnover for Choctaw.
It's now 17 for Choctaw. Fort Myers has given it away 9 times, but only once here in the 3rd quarter. Clark off the screen. Nice touch.
Great job of coming off the high screen and roll. Kept the basketball above her shoulders for the entire possession, and just a soft touch off the glass.
Clark has 15. It's the 18th time this year she has been in double-figure scoring. Well, even though Destanni Henderson is leaving, Fort Myers program still going to have some star power with Shania Clark.
I think they're in pretty good hands.
A great interior pass there from Fairley to Becker. Left it on the front rim. Run out for Outen. And the lead has swelled to 23 for Fort Myers.
We had a feeling that in the second half, the Green Wave would turn up the heat on the defensive pressure, and that has really opened up the floodgates for some easy opportunities for buckets.
A timeout taken by Fort Myers. Destanni Henderson has certainly left an indelible mark on this program. About to go down as a 3-time state champion, approaching 1,700 career points. And again, the top-ranked point guard in the country, number 9 overall prospect in the 2018 class.
She really has been a treat to watch over the years, just her development and not only her personal game, but of a program. Definitely leaving her mark. May have an opportunity to be back here in the Bay Area again next year with Tampa hosting the women's NCAA Final Four.
South Carolina has shown the ability to make it to the Final Four under Dawn Staley. Defending national champions. And Chad Terrell yesterday just couldn't say enough good things, not as necessarily about Henderson as a player. She is a great player, and one that he was short-selling that as Atalia Brown hits a deep three. But just spent a lot of time talking about her impact on the other players on the team through her leadership, through her willingness to share the ball.
Well, there's one thing about players that go to play, high Division I basketball, but when you go to play perennial powers, there has to be something special about you. Just besides your game, something has to set you apart, from being just a good player. And you can just tell by the way not only she carries herself, but the way this program has stepped up every year, kind of under her leadership.
Hayes, been quiet so far here in the third quarter. Stay at this end of the floor with 38.6 to go. Hayes gets doubled, and a reach-in foul whistled against Choctaw.
Just their fourth team foul. Something to keep an eye on as we get into the fourth quarter.
Brown not backing off at all. Hayes with some nice ball handling. And how about the stone-cold reaction after that jumper?
A little bit of a sniper action there. It's only good if you make the shot. So, you definitely have to give her credit for that. But the ability to handle pressure and create space. You're just taking the pressure from Brown between the legs, behind the back, and a little pull-up. Not quite like James Harden earlier this week.
Not quite on that level, but we'll give her the FHSAA basketball equivalent of James Harden, right?
There you go.
Terrell said she brings a toughness that the team needs, an emotional player, and sometimes that hinders her game. She was really frustrated in the semifinals, only had a breakaway layup. That was the only shot she made. But that emotion tends to kind of drive this team.
You surely sense a bit of an edge about her game. Every team needs a player like that.
Not sure what Amber Leggett was trying to do on that second free throw. Just kind of heaved it as if she was at the end of the game trying to get a shot off the rim. Henderson short on the three as time expires here on the third quarter. Good one for Fort Myers. They led by 11 at the half. They've stretched that out to 22 going to the fourth quarter here in Lakeland.
There's a need for officials at all levels in all sports, and you can help fill those needs. We invite you to join the thousands of men and women in the FHSAA contest officials program who play vital roles in the integrity of interscholastic competition. If you're interested, contact the Florida High School Athletic Association office in Gainesville or visit the officials' website and become an official.org. A special thanks to the following championship committee silver supporters: Mr. Jordan Hudson and Hudson Pump, Kevin Michael Hudson, and Harold Fertilizer. While visiting Lakeland, eat where the locals do at Jimbo's Barbecue on Memorial Boulevard, just minutes from your RP Shopping Center, or even try country chicken and fish. Conveniently located on Road.
We head to the final 8 minutes of the 7A championship game. Fort Myers comfortably in front, 54-32. And even though we've talked a lot about Destanni Henderson and Shania Clark, those are not the only two who have shown the ability to score throughout the season. 5 players averaging in double figures. That's almost unheard of in girls basketball.
Well, that's one thing I think that stands out is the balance of this ball club. We've seen that just this afternoon. Their ability to share the basketball and for ladies to make plays from anywhere on the floor. I guess they started with this 10-minute clock. It was this little bit of Not even sure who plays at 10 minutes now. That's college. Women's college basketball is 10-minute quarters.
Not sure they have a lot of women's college hoops here at the RP Funding Center.
You never know who's running the clock over there. She may have taken a day off from USF, and Jose Fernandez's squad is up in Connecticut right now, getting ready to compete in the conference tournament.
Another outstanding season for the Bulls. This facility looks a lot different. Certainly from what you're seeing, the floor is entirely different here in Lakeland, with this facility now serving as the home of the G League Lakeland Magic. A little different vibe when you walk in here this year.
There's some upgraded scoreboards here, and I like the seats. They're a lot softer than what we're accustomed to from last year.
Crisp ball movement from Fort Myers. Shania Clark could not catch the pass. State tournament's been here now for 2 decades. It's hard to think about it going anywhere else. You have so many boys and girls basketball teams that at the start of the year talk about getting to Lakeland. The goal is to be in Lakeland, to go to exit 31. That's become the motto for some teams. Just can't imagine this tournament being anywhere else.
No, Lakeland really is an unbelievable host. I mean, you talk about geography. It's the dense center of the state. Makes it easy for teams to get here. And the people from Polk County really open up and receive folks with open arms, from the restaurants to the hotels. It would really break my heart to see it leave and go anyplace else. Hopefully they can keep it for some time to come.
Alton lays it in. To your point, this is a big deal in Lakeland. If you put it in Orlando or Tampa or Jacksonville or Miami, it would just be another thing that's going on in those big cities. But in Lakeland, the basketball finals take over this city for 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And, we'll see a little bit of that later on today when Winter Haven, the ball club, also is going for their 3rd straight state title, comes into play. And I hope that young lady did not dislocate her shoulder on that possession.
Bethany Brunson trying to rotate that right shoulder. Definitely does not want to go to the bench. Her senior year, playing her final high school game. Last thing she wants to do is come out. Now, luckily, Brunson going to be able to stay in there. See how it affects her if she gets a chance to shoot. Henderson sets up Brunson. Some contact inside. And a foul called.
I believe that's on Leggett. If it is, it'll be her 4th.
Everything is just so smooth with Henderson. The change of pace, the ball handling with both hands. It looks effortless.
Well, she's a different class of athlete. She really is. And I think that's really difficult for point guards, I think, transitioning from high school to college. It's not only the speed of the game, but the ability to switch gears and understand when you need to play slow and play fast. And we've seen her display that for us this afternoon.
Brown driving, she gets hacked. That's something that's challenging for young players to learn, the need to play at different speeds in order to be effective.
Yeah, everyone thinks the game is fast at the next level. It is faster in totality, which means that, your 4 and 5s, they move just as fast as your 1 and 2s when you're in high school. But you have to have time and possession, time and score, and the ability to change up pace is key. You have to be able to catch your defenders off balance. They can't get accustomed to you playing at one speed all the time.
Henderson has certainly developed a great understanding of that. Little acceleration and then a jump stop to find Alton. Clark follows up the miss by Hayes. Shania Clark leads all scorers with 17. Standing right underneath the rim for that drive by Leggett. So a foul against the freshman and 2 more free throws for the Sam Houston State signee Leggett. You felt as the first half went on that Choctaw was holding back an avalanche from coming down the mountain. You wondered how long they were going to be able to withstand the attack of Fort Myers, but as the game has gotten up and down a little bit in the second half, the Green Wave have asserted their will. Clark stays with it, and she'll be on the line.
Well, this is a ball club, honestly, as well as their coach right now, and as hard as these young ladies are playing, they're overmatched. And then here's a prime example of being overmatched.
Fort Myers only 1 state tournament appearance prior to 2015. That came back way back in 1984. And now on the verge of a 3rd consecutive championship. That would make them just the 3rd team in the history of Lee County across all sports to win 3 consecutive titles. Timeout Choctaw with 5:21 to play in the game, and Don Brown's team trailing by 25. And based on the look on his face, not as concerned about the score, but a lot more concerned about attitude and effort right now.
Oh, most definitely. This is a ball club that's extremely young, and you want to make sure that you're keeping these young ladies in the contest. You're coaching them up. No such thing as a 25-point play you can draw up, that's for sure.
Last game for Leggett and Fairley, 2 valuable seniors for Choctawhatchee. But there's a nice foundation here. Atalia Brown will be a senior next year. Tiara Swain started in the semifinal yesterday. She ultimately suffered a sprained ankle just 3 minutes into the game. Not available to go today. But there are some nice pieces that will be back for a potential run next year.
With a lot of experience. I mean, the senior leadership they'll miss, especially because of their size at 6 foot and 6'1", and and their ability to score. But when you have good guards, anything can happen. And this is a good crop of young ladies that will have an opportunity to develop over the summer. Be good to see where they end up next year.
16 today for Leggett. Fairly going to fall short in her quest of trying to win a 2nd consecutive championship in as many seasons. She was an outstanding talent for Choctaw's volleyball team, had 23 kills in the state final back in November as Choctaw won a state championship, and she's headed to Spring Hill College in Alabama to go play college volleyball.
Good ball movement.
Alexis Johnson unable to finish, and here comes Atalia Brown. Another glimpse of that quick release. Youth sports are becoming so specialized. We're hearing less and less about multi-sport athletes, which gives me an appreciation for Fairley, a college volleyball player that's got here playing basketball for her school.
And the one place you really see it, honestly, a lot more frequently than you used to is the girls' basketball. I mean, you're starting to see a lot of volleyball, a lot of baseball players, and even to the point now where a lot of the basketball coaches want these young ladies to run track in the offseason.
I've heard a lot of coaches this week talk about girls who either run track in the spring, run cross country in the fall as an effort to stay in shape. That's a trademark of Winter Haven's program. They have all their girls run cross country in the fall, part of their rigorous conditioning efforts. Leggett short on the baseline. Janae Outen with the rebound for Fort Myers. And as we talk about the future for Choctaw, it's even brighter for Fort Myers given Outen, Spencer, and Clark are all freshmen, 3 major contributors for this team.
You know, who've logged a lot of minutes this year and have had the opportunity to learn from one of the best to ever do it in Destanni Henderson. Future definitely bright for the Green Wave. And these young ladies don't look like freshmen. And I'm not talking about their physical appearance, just the way they carry themselves, the way they play. They do not play like freshmen.
Well, Fort Myers certainly went out and challenged itself during the regular season, played in a couple of competitive tournaments, took on state champion Miami Country Day, Winter Haven, which is in the 8A state final. And the more competition you play like that, the more poise your team's going to have when you get to a stage like this.
You have to be able to replicate during the regular season what you're going to experience, you know, during those first couple of weeks in February. You want to go play in quality tournaments. You have to be able to win 5 or 6 games in a row. You have to be able to play on back-to-back nights. So when you experience something like this, it's nothing that's new.
Spencer running the floor. Hard to believe it was a 4-point game in the second quarters. It's up to 29 with Leggett getting a breakaway lay-in. Not quite as much focus on defense as we saw in the early part of the game.
Well, no, I think right now no team wants to foul. They want to play solid defense. They understand the game's out of reach. Showing good sportsmanship on both sides. Fort Myers team not trying to run the score up. They're actually trying to take some air out of the basketball.
Final 2.5 minutes here in the 7A championship game. You figure at some point here, Henderson will get a curtain call and a chance to get an ovation from the faithful that have made the trip up here from Southwest Florida.
Alexis Johnson, the senior, getting her curtain call.
And the Fort Myers bench now distributing pink shirts with the three-peat moniker. You saw the emotion from Johnson as she has played her final minute of high school basketball.
You know, it really is touching when you see some of these athletes who put so much into the game, you know, and building these relationships, and you know, a lot to be proud of for that young lady.
Tatum Hayes back in. Bethany Brunson, another senior, checks out and is rewarded with one of those three-peat shirts. As an aside, how confident do you have to be to have a box with three-peat shirts behind the bench going into a championship game?
Austin, listen, when that's on the line, you don't come here not to win, first of all. I mean, so that's not even part of the conversation. It's not the if, it's the when. And that's W-H-E-N. So they fully came prepared here to make sure they're bringing back nothing but gold down I-75 South, that's for sure.
Destanni Henderson checks out to a big ovation from the fans.
The better question would have been, what would have happened if they didn't
That's
win?
what I'm saying.
And what do you do with the box of shirts?
It's like the Super Bowl or end of the NCAA championship game where you quickly rush those shirts off and send them to an African country.
Why has it got to be an African country, Austin? I'll take a couple. I like to wash my car, too.
No, you can't have them here. People can't be seen with them. That's the whole point. Got to make sure those things are never seen or heard from again. Giovanna Santos in for the first time along with Elena Johnson. And Choctaw will substitute the two seniors out. Leggett and Fairley get an embrace from Coach Don Brown. Well, it doesn't feel good right now, but at some point in the future, they will be able to reflect on the achievement of getting here and take some pride in that silver medal.
No, not everyone is able to even make it to this point, you know, let alone play in the final. So a lot to be proud of for these young ladies.
Ticking down toward the final minute, and one for Mercedes Hart. Don Brown really excited about Hart's potential. Never played basketball before this year. Thinks if she maintains a strong work ethic, she has a chance to be a special talent.
Just look at the strong body, her ability to hold off a seal.
Shania Clark had forgotten about the fact that the basket went in. Three-point attempt from Johnston is short. Ticking down toward a half minute remaining. Natalia Brown throws in a three, and timeout Choctawhatchee with 28.3 to go.
Natalia Brown has played her heart out this afternoon.
Reminder to check us out on Twitter. We are at Spec Sports 360. Spectrum Sports 360 on Facebook and Instagram. And we will have two more championship games this afternoon here in Lakeland. 4:30 for Winter Haven and Nova, two teams that have just one loss this year. And then at 7 o'clock tonight, Spruce Creek against Miami High in the 9A championship game. Andrick and I will be doing a special bonus Facebook Live before both of those championship games. I think we anticipate that the rating for that is going to be fairly high.
I'm trying to break the internet, Austin.
Yeah.
See if we can make that happen.
More people interested in that than the famous selfie that Ellen took at the Oscars that broke Twitter. Insights that you won't get on the streaming broadcast are going to be heard on that Facebook Live.
Let's tease it up. Tease it up.
You got to know. You got to be there to know what we're going to talk about. Janae Outen across the midcourt line and content to dribble out the final 15 seconds should Choctaw allow it. Special team, special program down there in Fort Myers. A third consecutive title for the Green Wave. And they can now put those pink shirts on and proudly wear them. A third ring is coming to the ladies from Fort Myers. And appropriate that the best player in program history wears number 3. Destanni Henderson goes out as a champion in her final high school game.
Young ladies had an unbelievable career, unbelievable run for the Green Wave, but you have to tip your hats off to Choctaw as well. Expect to see these young ladies back here frequently over the next few years.
Choctaw state runner-up for the third time in the last 6 seasons. 65-41 is our final. Fort Myers defeats Choctawhatchee. Don't forget, 4:30, Winter Haven and Nova. 7 o'clock, Spruce Creek and Miami High. For our entire crew, led by Director Mike Catolo, producer Chris McCulley, Austin Lyon with Andrick Frazier saying so long from Lakeland. Congratulations to Fort Myers on a third consecutive state championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please direct your attention to center court for the awards ceremony. Presenting the